So when I first reviewed Time with the Doctor, Matt Smith's last episode, I gave it a pretty positive, well, a very positive review actually. I think I used the words spectacular.
I thought the time of the Doctor was pretty damn good. No, more than damn good. I thought it was pretty spectacular.
Yeah, rewatching it, I just rewatched it recently and rewatched in preparation for Series 8. I realised it's not as good as I thought it was or said it was back when it first aired. Now, it's by no means an awful episode, far from it. There are lots of great things about it, which I'll talk about, but the fact of the matter is, I think I was taken in just by the fact that it was Matt Smith's last episode, and, I think being a bit overwhelmed by it, maybe I wasn't looking at it as critically as I should have done. Now, originally, one of my few criticisms of it was that was of the pacing, was that it went far too quickly. And rewatching it, the pacing was even worse than I originally thought. The problem is there is a lot of exposition because Stephen Moffat is trying to wrap up everything. Because he's got 3 years worth of story arcs that he's got to wrap up in this one episode, and because of that, there'll be a lot of scenes where everything will stop. That the plot will be building momentum, and then it'll just stop, so some characters can sit in a room and talk about explaining things. Things that should have been explained ages ago. Like, if Stephen Moffat was playing it a little bit more carefully, and I realise it's hard plotting an arc over 3 years, especially if you don't quite know where everything's going. But if he planned it a little bit more carefully, he would have, say, explained who made the cracks in the universe, like in Series 6, rather than 1 year later in Series 6, rather than 3 years later in this Christmas special. It is almost like he's trying to write 2 episodes in one. He's trying to write Matt Smith's final episode, a farewell thing, as well as a series finale type thing where everything's wrapped up. And it doesn't quite work. I think one of the problems is the length. It's only an hour, and I once read an interview with Stephen Moffat where he said there's no story you can't tell in 45 minutes when he was asked about the length the length of his episodes. And with all respect to Stephen Moffat, I think that's one of the stupidest things I've ever heard anyone say. That's a bit harsh, but you're telling me that you could tell a Game of Thrones, the first A Song of Fire and Ice book, in 45 minutes, or The Godfather in 45 minutes, or Lord of the Rings in 45 minutes? No, you couldn't, because some stories do need time to breathe, and I think this is a prime example of something which would have been much improved if it was a 2-parter, or if it had another half an hour added to it. I really think it needed more time to breathe and just to be a bit more natural. Now, this isn't entirely Stephen Moffat's fault. I've heard a lot of people say that originally Matt Smith was supposed to stay on for Series 8. So maybe, the plot of this whole episode was supposed to be the plot of Series 8, which would have been Matt Smith's final season. And so, obviously, of course it would have had a lot more time to breathe, because it would have been over 13 episodes instead of 1. But the fact of the matter is, it isn't a series, it's an episode, and he really should have adjusted it so it was a much more satisfying episode. Because at the moment, it just feels like an epilogue. It doesn't feel like a standalone episode in its own right. A lot of people complain about the end of Time, David Tennant's last episode, but at least it felt the pacing wasn't jarring. It went along at a good pace, and by the end of it, you didn't feel. At least I didn't feel. I felt like I was satisfied by the end of Time. It wasn't perfect, but I felt like I was satisfied. At the end of Time, the Doctor, not so much. Now, that's not to say there aren't good things about it. Like I said in my original review, Matt Smith is great. He's amazing in this episode. He gives one of his best performances. especially when he plays the older Doctor character. You know, towards the end of the episode, he's really good. He's really good at playing that world weary sort of character. His chemistry with Jenna Coleman in the episode is great. The first 20 minutes or so before the crack in time is revealed, I really like. It's really fun. A lot of great jokes, especially with like Handles, the Cyberman head. Really fun. It's just when the plot starts kicking in, kind of gets a bit. Yeah. There are a lot of great emotional moments, especially towards the end when Clara's comforting the Doctor, when she's pleading with the Time Lords to help him out. And I love those moments, but it's so jarring. It's like it'll be like, I don't know. It'll be like fun things, then exposition, then battle, fight scene, exposition, then heartfelt emotional scene, exposition. It's just like, nah. I'm really not a fan of. I can't even remember her name. The woman the head of the Silence character, the woman the Doctor has a history with. She just comes off as a River Song knockoff. I really don't like her at all. I think she was a really uninspired character. The ending, when the Doctor confronts the Daleks at the end, the Daleks are pathetic. I might do a whole video on this at some point, but it just seems like in the Moffat era, the Daleks are just at their most unintimidating ever. And this comes from the man who said, himself, that, when he was writing Asylum of the Daleks, he said he wanted to, make a really scary Dalek story. But he didn't. And he never has. And he's made the Daleks worse. Like, say what you want about the Daleks in the Russell T Davies era. But, they were threatening, for the majority of the time. They killed people. How many people have you seen the Daleks kill in the past 3 years? Like, 2? And I don't want to come off as a fanboy or anything, but in the Russell T Davies era, in that one Dalek episode, the Dalek kill was like 50 people in one episode. In 3 years, they've killed nobody. They stand in their spaceship going, "We're going to exterminate you. We're going to exterminate you," and it's just like, just do it then. It's pathetic. It's stupid. There's a Dalek episode coming up in Series 8, and please, I hope they like the first scene better be them just exterminating it like an orphanage or something. Like they just come into an orphanage and just kill everyone there. Because if not, like, honestly, just give them a break then. Just give them a break. Have someone else write your Dalek episodes off, because you can't do it. But like I said, when the episode's good, it's good. And there are some great emotional moments. And the whole last scene where the Doctor regenerates, his regeneration scene, is very well written, if a bit kind of like, I don't want to say cheesy, maybe a bit up his own ass, but no, I'm joking. It's a good scene, and it's very well written. But and there is a great episode hiding in there, but it comes with really poor pacing, lots of scenes of exposition, some really dull, I think, supporting characters, and just a rushed episode, and it's a real shame. I really would have liked a more natural feeling episode for Matt Smith's thing. I didn't really need like a big epic final battle. I don't understand with the End of Time. This is another criticism I have of the End of Time as well. I didn't really need a big epic final, the world's gonna end story for the Doctor's final thing. I'd much rather something like the Caves of Androzani, where the stakes are much more personal. In the Caves of Androzani, it's his companion that's going to die. It's not the whole world that's going to blow up. It's just his friend is going to die, and he needs to save her. I would much rather have something like that, and it's epic and it's awesome. But it's not like there's no huge giant battle with Daleks and Cybermen. It's just a real personal story, and that makes it a lot more epic. Like a deep personal story will make a story a lot more epic than explosions and fighting. But what do you think? Do you completely disagree with me about the episode? Please put your thoughts and opinions in the comments section below, and please subscribe. Thank you. This was Isaac's Movie Page, and thank you for watching.